They saw you before you even saw yourself. Chosen one. Long before you ever questioned why people responded to you with suspicion, envy, or a strange kind of fascination. Someone saw you in a dream. Not just any dream, one that lingered. One that haunted them. One that whispered a truth they couldn't unsee. You were shining. Not just glowing. Not just bright. Radiant. Unmistakably powerful. And it wasn't just your face or your form. They remembered it was the light you carried. That sacred frequency you didn't even know you were emitting. You see, the spiritual realm doesn't wait for your permission. It doesn't check your calendar. It doesn't need you to understand your mission before it starts broadcasting your presence. And that's what makes this so unsettling for others. Because while you're still sorting through the chaos of who you are, what you feel, and why everything in this world feels a little off, others have already seen glimpses of what you're about to become. And it scared them, not because you're evil, not because you did anything wrong, but because your light, your truth exposed everything they were still trying to hide. You've always had that effect, haven't you? Walking into a room and suddenly, conversations change, energy shifts, people start fidgeting or getting defensive, and you haven't even said a word. It's like your mere presence stirs something ancient in their bones. And many times, it's not even conscious. They don't know why they feel uncomfortable around you, they just do. But deep down, somewhere in their spirit, they know. They've seen you before, in a dream, in a flash of insight, in a whisper that came in the middle of the night. And what they saw terrified them. Not because you were threatening, but because you were awakened. And when someone who's still living asleep sees a soul on fire, it shakes them to the core. It's wild to think about. Isn't it that you're walking around, second-guessing your worth, wondering if you're imagining things, while other people are having spiritual encounters with your energy, dreaming of you, feeling you, before they've ever met you. And in those moments, those dreams, they are being confronted with a truth far beyond what their logical mind can handle. That you are real. That your assignment is real. That your light is not just symbolic, it's spiritual authority. But here's the part, no one tells you your light costs something. It's not just beautiful, it's disruptive. Because when divine energy enters a space, everything that is false, everything that is fake, everything that is in shadow gets revealed. And that's what they saw. That's what scared them. Your light wasn't just shining, it was calling. Calling them to truth. Calling them to change. Calling them to accountability. And not everyone wants to answer that call. So what do? They recoil. They resist, they reject, but not because of who you are, rather, because of what you awaken in them. There's a reason so many spiritually sensitive people report feeling like they're fighting battles they can't name. There's a reason you've been on people's radar before you ever spoke your truth. And there's a reason you've encountered so many strange reactions from people suddenly turning cold, to once close relationships falling apart for no clear reason. It's because on a soul level, they already recognized you. They saw the warrior in you, the healer in you, the divine disruptor in you, and it made them uneasy. But chosen one. Here's what you need to know, that dream was confirmation. Confirmation that even before you fully step into your calling, the spiritual realm is preparing the way. The alarm has already sounded. The frequency has already been released. And your name, it echoes in places you've never been. It's not paranoia. That's prophecy. You're not imagining it. The tension, the stares, the way people seem to just know something about you before you even introduce yourself, this is spiritual recognition. Some call it discernment, others call it intuition. But make no mistake, they feel you. Because light can't hide. And chosen ones, they carry a different light entirely. It's not about physical beauty. It's not about charisma. It's about vibration, alignment, essence. You walk into a space and something sacred enters with you. You might not feel it every time, especially when you're tired, burdened, or doubting your path. But believe me, they feel it. Even if they can't explain it. Even if they deny it. Even if they laugh it off the next day. Saying, it was just a dream. Because deep down, they know it wasn't just a dream. It was a revelation, a glimpse of what God is raising up. A warning to those trying to stop you. A message to the ones watching in silence. And while some will fear that light, others will be drawn to it. They'll feel peace in your presence. They'll feel clarity, hope, healing. Because your light isn't just disruptive, it's restorative. But you need to know both exist. Because your calling is not casual. It's not for entertainment. It's not for applause. It's for impact. It's for awakening. And sometimes that awakening begins in the realm of dreams, long before you ever speak a word. So the next time you wonder why someone is treating you differently, pulling back, or acting strange around you, pause. Ask yourself, what did they see? What did their spirit register that their words can't explain? You don't need to be in the room for someone to sense you're rising. And that's the real reason some people get uncomfortable. They've already felt the shift. They've already heard the call. They've already seen the dream. And what they saw was you. They fear you, but not because you did anything wrong. In fact, it's the opposite. They fear you because of what you represent. Chosen one. You carry a calling that stretches far beyond what most people can comprehend. It pulses through your energy. It radiates from your eyes. And it resonates in every room you enter. You may not see it. You may downplay it. But believe me, those who live in the shadows, whether consciously or subconsciously, feel it. And they fear it. Let's be honest, most people are not ready to see someone walk in divine truth. It unnerves them. It forces them to examine their own lives, their own decisions, their own alignments. And when your presence begins to stir their conscience, when your voice speaks truths they've spent years trying to bury, when your silence reveals more than their noise ever could, they get scared. Not because you're dangerous, but because you're real, because the vibration you carry is not from this world. It's divine. It's ancient. It's righteous. And it disrupts the illusions people have grown comfortable living in. So when they dream about you, chosen one, when they see you glowing, rising, shining in a realm where masks fall and souls are exposed, they wake up shaken, confused, sometimes even angry. They don't understand why they're dreaming about you. They might not even like you. But still, your image lingers. Your voice echoes in their spirit. And no matter how much they try to shake it, they can't escape the truth their soul already knows. You're not like the rest. You're anointed. And the anointing, dear one, is never neutral. It demands a response. For some, it will draw them in. For others, it will push them away. But either way, it will move them. Because the energy of a chosen one does not leave people unchanged. It disrupts their comfort. It confronts their shadows. It awakens what they tried to silence. That's why they feared you. That's why they avoided you. That's why they gossiped about you without knowing the full story. That's why some even tried to discredit you, mock you, or gaslight your intuition, because your light was undeniable, and they couldn't control it. This fear isn't always expressed in obvious ways. Sometimes it's hidden in passive-aggressive comments. Sometimes it's in the way they suddenly go cold. Other times, it's in the silence, the kind of silence that screams. You've felt it, haven't you? That weird energy, that shift, the way someone's demeanor changes when they're around you. They say the right words, but their eyes give something else away. It's not your imagination. Chosen one, that's spiritual tension. It's their spirit recognizing your truth and their ego trying to reject it. Because deep down, whether they admit it or not, they know what you are. Let's break it down further. In the spiritual realm, your calling speaks louder than your appearance. It's not about titles or platforms or followers. It's about frequency. Your energy is marked. Your purpose has weight. And your aura carries a signature that the spiritual world cannot ignore. That's why people dream about you before they even meet you. That's why your name comes up in conversations you were never part of. That's why doors open or slam shut, based on nothing but your unseen presence. This is not superstition. This is spiritual truth. In the Bible, we see this pattern over and over again. Consider Joseph. Long before he ever ruled Egypt, his brothers hated him not because he did anything wrong, but because he had a dream that revealed his future, a dream that terrified those who couldn't see past their own pride. They didn't just despise the dream, they feared the implication of it. They feared what Joseph would become. And in their fear, they tried to destroy him. But God preserved him. God elevated him. And the very ones who feared him were the same ones who would later need him. Do you see the parallel? They feared your calling because they sensed its power. They sensed your rise. They sensed your favor. They sensed your access to something divine, and it shook them, not because you were arrogant, not because you were aggressive, but because you were chosen. And being chosen means you don't blend in. You don't move like everyone else. You don't speak like everyone else. Even your silence carries a frequency that breaks chains and stirs spirits. That's why people are cautious around you. That's why they question you more than they question others. That's why they treat your confidence like a threat, because it reflects something they haven't yet embraced in themselves. You remind them of what they could be, if they had the courage to surrender. But many don't want to surrender. They want to control. They want to predict. They want to maintain the illusion. And your presence, your light, makes that impossible. You are not here to entertain their ego. You are here to awaken their spirit. And some spirits would rather sleep than face the truth. That's why they reacted to the dream the way they did. That's why they distance themselves. That's why they act confused, even hostile. It's not about you, it's about what your light activates in them. It's about what your rise reminds them of. It's about what their soul knows, but their mind refuses to admit you are sent. And not everyone is ready to receive what you carry. But here's the truth that will set you free. Their fear does not define your worth. Their discomfort does not dim your light. Their confusion does not cancel your calling. In fact, it confirms it, because no one dreams about someone insignificant. No one fears a light that doesn't shine. So take this as your confirmation. Chosen one, if they saw you shining in their dream, if they woke up unsettled, if they treat you like a mystery wrapped in discomfort, then you're right on schedule, because your rise is not just happening in the natural, it's unfolding in the spirit. And those who are spiritually aware, they feel it, even when they can't explain it. And those who resist it, well, they'll do what they've always done with the chosen. They'll misunderstand, mislabel, and misjudge. But that's not your concern, because your job is not to convince. Your job is to continue. There's something you need to understand deeply. Chosen one, dreams in the spiritual realm are never random. They are messages, warnings, confirmations, sometimes even battles in disguise. You may think you've been flying under the radar, trying to live a quiet life, trying not to disturb anything. But in the realm of the spirit, your presence has already caused a stir. People have seen you shining in visions they can't forget. And the reason those dreams struck them so intensely, because the spirit world doesn't play. Pretend dreams are spiritual territory. And in that realm, there's no mask, no pretense, no room to hide behind personality, politics, or popularity. In dreams, the soul speaks, the spirit reveals. And if someone saw you shining in their dream, if they witnessed you glowing, walking in authority, rising with power that wasn't symbolic, that was spiritual truth breaking through the noise of their consciousness. You were revealed to them, not as you think you are, not as the quiet, questioning soul still trying to understand your own path. No, you were revealed in your full power, your divine form, your destined frequency. And that's the part they can't unsee. This is why you've had people treating you oddly, even when you've never crossed them. It's why some people just don't like you, but can't explain why. Why someone who was once close to you started distancing themselves after they had a strange dream they never even told you about. You weren't in their dream just to pass through. It was an encounter, an activation, maybe even a confrontation. And their soul responded before their conscious mind ever could. In the spirit, truth hits harder than any spoken word. Let me tell you a story, one that stretches back through the ages, through fire and prophecy. Joan of Arc, a young peasant girl, barely a teenager, uneducated by the world's standards, but spiritually on fire. She heard voices, saw visions, felt callings no one could explain. And long before the world took her seriously, long before they placed a sword in her hand, people saw her in dreams, in omens, in inexplicable feelings. And those feelings turned into fear. They feared her because she stood for something greater than the system. She represented a shift, a divine disturbance. Her existence alone declared that God could speak to the overlooked, the underestimated, the misfit. And that truth, it shattered the illusion of power. So they tried to silence her, just like they'll try to silence you. But what they couldn't erase was the imprint her light left on the spiritual landscape. The same imprint you're leaving, even now. See, chosen one, when someone dreams about you, it's not about their imagination, it's about revelation. Their spirit has seen something your flesh might still be growing into. And that spiritual encounter leaves residue. It leaves questions. It leaves trembling. Because not everyone is ready to see someone anointed rise. And that's what their dream did. It gave them a preview of your rise. Not the watered-down version, or a stir, not the humble, hidden you who's still trying to figure it all out. But the version of you that heaven sees. The version of you that's been through lifetimes of fire, lifetimes of purification. The you that carries divine codes, ancient knowing, soul contracts forged in spirit long before your physical birth. That version of you is what shook them, and if they weren't aligned with the light, that vision disturbed their comfort. Some people woke up from that dream with cold sweats, with questions they couldn't answer, with a deep, instinctual awareness that your life is going to change everything they thought was safe. Not because you're trying to destroy anything, but because your rise reveals their stagnation. Your light exposes their shadows. Your divine movement challenges their spiritual passivity, and so they panic. But here's the thing. They don't always know why they're afraid of you. They may not remember the full dream, but the feeling that never leaves. That unshakable impression that you're not to be underestimated. That there's something off about you, but in a way they can't dismiss. That's the echo of the spirit. The same echo Pharaoh must have felt when he kept having those disturbing dreams he couldn't interpret. Until Joseph walked in and decoded it. Joseph, the very dreamer his brothers threw into a pit, was the one carrying the key. You too carry keys, chosen one, spiritual blueprints. And when someone sees you in a dream, when your light invades their inner world, it's because something in their soul has recognized you as a carrier of truth. Maybe even a disruptor of the bondage they didn't want to admit they were in. This is why some people start behaving erratically around you after these dreams. Their subconscious has been stirred, their comfort zones shattered. And instead of facing the message, they try to avoid the messenger. That's you. But avoiding you won't stop the message. Because your life is the message. Your glow is the signal. Your voice is the trumpet. Your energy is the shaking of dry bones. And when they see that in their dreams, when they feel your presence in their sleep, walking with fire, shining with grace, armored in spiritual power, it's not fantasy. That's heaven giving them a glimpse. And while some may fear it, others will awaken. Some will run, others will follow, but none will forget. So don't ever question your presence again. Don't ever second-guess the power you carry just because some people get uncomfortable around you. Understand this in the spirit world. Your identity is already known. Your name is already spoken. Your assignment is already marked. And sometimes, before your voice reaches the world, your essence reaches them in a dream. That's how powerful your light is. You don't have to be present to be felt. And when they wake up, terrified of what they saw, that's confirmation, not condemnation, because your rise is real. And the spirit world knows it. Before you speak a word, before you enter the room, before your presence is even acknowledged by others, you've already been felt. That's how powerful your frequency is. Chosen one. Your energy travels ahead of you like the early light of dawn before the sun breaks the horizon. It whispers to the spiritually aware. It provokes the spiritually blind. And it alarms those hiding in the dark. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You don't need to dress differently, shout louder, or wave your hands in some performative way. Your being is the message. Your essence is the sermon. You are a walking vibration of divine purpose. And the people who walk into your orbit, whether they understand it or not, are confronted by that energy the moment they come near. Some feel peace. Some feel exposed. Some feel a strange pull toward you like gravity. Others feel an instinctual urge to resist. But what they're really feeling is you, and more specifically, the power that surrounds you. This is why some people become defensive even when you're calm. Why they assume you're judging them, even when you've said nothing. Why they throw little jabs, laugh nervously, or suddenly switch topics when you begin to speak from a place of depth. It's not about your tone. It's not about your words. It's about your spirit. Because your spirit carries something ancient, something set apart, something that reminds their inner world of what they've forgotten truth. You are a reminder of what's real, and that alone can feel threatening to someone who's built their identity on illusion. That's why your energy precedes you. It's like an announcement from the heavens. The chosen one has arrived. Pay attention, but not everyone is ready for that level of truth. Some people have been hiding for so long they've forgotten the shape of their own soul. And when you show up, when your light, your clarity, your discernment walks into the space, it creates pressure. Not because you're trying to expose anyone, but because light, by its very nature, reveals. Remember when Moses came down from the mountain after encountering the divine? His face was glowing. Not metaphorically, literally. So much so that the people asked him to cover it. They couldn't handle the intensity of the light. They were afraid. Not of Moses himself, but of the power that had marked him. It's the same with you. You've been in the presence of truth. You've wrestled with your calling. You've survived the wilderness. You've been stripped of illusions. And now, even when you try to be quiet, even when you try to shrink, even when you think no one's noticing, you still shine. Because your frequency isn't optional. It's not something you turn on and off. It's who you are, and the spirit world responds accordingly. This is why, even before someone meets you, they may feel strange things. They may have dreams of you, feel warned, feel drawn, feel convicted, because your energy arrives first. It's like a spiritual scouting party announcing to both heaven and hell that the anointed one is moving. You've likely noticed it. People staring at you too long. Strangers acting awkward. Old friends feeling off all of a sudden. Even technology glitching. Lights flickering, animals reacting unusually. These aren't just random occurrences. These are signs of frequency collision. You are carrying a vibration that shifts the atmosphere. And where there is resistance, there is recognition. Don't be fooled by their denial. Don't let their facial expressions lie to you. Their soul knows who you are. That's why some can't look you in the eye. That's why others suddenly act differently after being around you. That's why conversations shift when you enter the room. Your energy demands alignment. And when people are out of alignment, they feel it. Sometimes they'll blame you. They'll say you're too intense, too serious, too spiritual. But that's just code for I can't hide around you. And you shouldn't have to. Because your presence is an answer to a call. You didn't ask for this light. You were entrusted with it. So don't apologize for being the catalyst. You are not responsible for their reaction. You are responsible for your obedience. And when your light walks ahead of you, when your energy announces your presence before your lips even part, that's a sign that you are aligned with divine timing. Chosen one. Understand this. You're not behind. You're not late. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And the reason the atmosphere shifts around you is because your soul has caught up to your assignment. They can sense your evolution, your maturity, your strength. Even when you're doubting yourself, your energy is testifying. Even when you feel tired, your light still shines. Because this isn't about performance. This is about presence. And your presence carries spiritual weight. Now, don't mistake their fear for power over you. They don't hold your destiny. They're simply reacting to the reflection of their own soul in your light. And that reflection is revealing the cracks, the gaps, the places that need healing. Some will thank you for it. Others will hate you for it. But both are signs you're doing exactly what you were called to do. Because the anointing is rarely comfortable. It's rarely welcomed. It's rarely understood. But it is always effective. So keep walking, even when they whisper. Keep showing up, even when they act strange. Keep speaking truth, even when they resist. Because your energy is doing more than you realize. It's preparing the ground. It's shaking the sleepers. It's announcing heaven's agenda. And that's why they feel you before they ever see you. That's why they dream of you before they even know your name. Because you are not just a person, you are a presence. And your energy is a prophecy. There's a truth that most people aren't ready to face. Chosen one. You are a mirror. And the light you carry reflects not just beauty, but everything hidden beneath the surface. It exposes what's real and what's false. And for many, that's too much. You're not just someone passing through their life. You're a catalyst, an interruption to their illusions. You didn't come to bring comfort to the comfortable. You came to awaken the sleepers, to shake the dust off ancient bones, to tear the mask off anything pretending to be truth. And that's why your presence makes some people squirm. It's not that you did anything to them personally. It's that something about you unsettles the lies they've been living. Without even trying, you reveal their shadows, their hidden motives, their suppressed guilt, and the closer they get to you, the harder it becomes for them to ignore it. Have you ever noticed how people confess things to you they didn't plan to say? Or how they react defensively to a simple question, like you struck a nerve you didn't even aim for? That's not by accident. That's your mirror effect in action. You see, when someone is living out of alignment with truth, when they're living behind facades or feeding off manipulation, your authenticity threatens them. Not because you expose them verbally, but because your being exposes what their energy is trying to hide. You don't even have to say a word. Your presence carries the frequency of truth. And truth always reveals what's been buried. That's why some people avoid you. That's why they talk about you behind your back. That's why they try to discredit you before anyone listens to you. Because deep down, they know if others look too closely, they might start seeing clearly too. And they can't risk that, because the world they've built depends on staying hidden. But you are the unveiling. You are the light shining into dark corners. You are the answer to prayers they forgot they even prayed. And that kind of presence forces people to make a choice, alignment, or resistance. Don't take it personally when people pull away. Don't internalize it when friends fall silent or relationships break without warning. It's not always betrayal. Sometimes it's just exposure. They saw themselves too clearly in your mirror, and it scared them. You represent what they could become if they surrendered. You embody the courage they haven't tapped into yet. And instead of celebrating that, many people run from it. They tell themselves stories to justify the distance. You've changed. You're too intense. You think you're better than everyone else. But that's not the truth. The truth is, you've awakened. And they're still trying to sleep. You're not the problem. You're the mirror. And the mirror doesn't lie. Let's talk about one of the greatest mirror carriers in history, Jesus. Everywhere he went, people either followed him or plotted against him. There wasn't much in between. Why? Because he carried a light so pure, so true, that people either repented in his presence or recoiled. He didn't even have to preach for transformation to start. His walk, his aura, his vibration, all of it stirred the atmosphere. The possessed cried out just because he was nearby. The broken fell at his feet without him saying a word, because truth has gravity. And you carry that same spirit, that same frequency. that same spiritual DNA. You're not here to blend in. You're here to reflect, and reflection brings change. So if you're feeling isolated, misunderstood, or strangely avoided, it may not be what you think. It might not be rejection. It might just be revelation. You're revealing who people really are, what they really carry. And that kind of revelation always causes a reaction. Now, some will awaken because of you. Some will step into their own healing because you dared to stand in truth. They'll look into your mirror and finally see their own light. They'll stop pretending. They'll stop hiding. They'll start rising. But others, they'll resent you for showing them what they tried to deny. And they'll mask that resentment as offense, as confusion, as spiritual superiority, even. But don't be discouraged. That's not about you. That's about what they saw when your mirror touched their soul. Because the truth is, you reflect what's real. And realness, in a world of performance, is terrifying. It can't be manipulated. It can't be controlled. It can't be dismissed. It demands a choice. You've likely experienced this in subtle ways. Someone looks at you and says, "You're intense," even when you've said very little. Another person suddenly stops texting you without explanation. A third starts mimicking you, copying your words, your style, your insight, but never gives you credit. These are all mirror responses. Some flee, some follow. Some try to imitate the light without carrying the cross. But you, chosen one, you carry the cross. You've died to the old self. You've walked through the fire. You've been refined in ways they'll never know. And that's why your light shines so purely. It didn't come easy. It came through pain, through loss, through obedience. And now your reflection is clear. You show people who they are. You show them what's possible. And that either inspires them or terrifies them. There's no in-between. So keep shining. Don't dim your light to make others feel safe in their shadows. Don't mute your voice to appease the insecure. Don't shrink your presence to protect illusions. You weren't called to fit in. You were called to reveal. And revealing is messy. It's misunderstood. It's resisted, but it's necessary. You are the mirror God placed in this generation, and the reason they dream of you. The reason they wake up unsettled. The reason they stare too long or look away too quickly is because they've seen themselves in your reflection. And now, they must choose what to do with what was revealed. There's a reason they can't shake the dream. Chosen one. It follows them, lurks in their memory. It surfaces at strange times, in stillness, in stress, in silence. And even when they pretend they've forgotten, their soul has not. Because what they saw wasn't just a dream. It was a spiritual transmission. The vision of you shining it wasn't symbolic fluff or some abstract illusion. It was a divine revelation, wrapped in the language of dreams. And the reason it lingers is because it carried truth. And truth always leaves an imprint. Now, let's be clear. Dreams in the spiritual realm are often the front lines of unseen warfare. They're not just movies playing behind closed eyelids. They're messages, encounters, and sometimes confrontations. And when someone saw you in a dream radiant, calm, commanding, or maybe walking through fire untouched, then they weren't just dreaming about you. They were interacting with your spiritual identity. They met the version of you that's been anointed. The you that heaven recognizes. The you that hell fears. And when that kind of dream touches someone who's still living in spiritual apathy or shadow, it shakes them. Because the contrast is undeniable. Their soul feels it, even if their mind tries to deny it. And that gap, the space between what they saw and what they can currently accept, creates internal conflict. It's why some people look at you differently now. Why they stammer when they speak to you. Why they went from curious to cautious almost overnight. Because the dream didn't just show them you, it showed them themselves. In contrast. And maybe they didn't like what they saw. That's the hidden truth no one talks about. Your light, your calling, your presence, it reveals them. Their spiritual condition, their hidden envy, their undealt with wounds. And when that truth visits them in a dream, without warning, without filter, without defense, it stirs something they can't control. That's why they can't forget, even if they never mention it. The seed was planted. The image was burned into their spirit. And now, every time they see you in real life, something inside them jolts. A memory, a feeling, a whisper they can't unhear. You've seen this before. You've probably noticed it. The double takes, the awkward energy, the weird blend of fascination and fear in their eyes. They may try to downplay it, act like nothing happened, but you can feel it. Their energy gives them away, because when spirit speaks, the soul listens even if the mind denies it, and the soul doesn't forget. Chosen one, you are a carrier of reminders. You remind people of a deeper truth they've been avoiding, of a reality more real than anything this world offers. And when they see you in a dream, shining, powerful, aligned, it's not just about you. It's about what your life confronts in them. Some will take that dream as a wake-up call. They'll begin to question their path. They'll start searching for truth. They'll feel the hunger for something more. You will have unknowingly sparked their awakening. Others, they'll feel threatened. They'll go on the defensive. They'll try to suppress the dream, act like it was nonsense, or worse, label you with all kinds of distorted names. Because the easiest way to ignore the message is to attack the messenger. But don't let that shake you. Their reaction does not invalidate your revelation. In fact, it confirms it. Because nobody fights a dream unless it struck something real. Now, hear this, the reason this matters isn't just about your validation. It's about your impact. Even before you walk fully in your assignment, you're already shifting spiritual atmospheres. Already being seen. Already being used. And those dreams? They are the front lines. They are proof that your life is already bearing fruit in dimensions you haven't even fully stepped into yet. Some of the people who saw you in those dreams were shown for a reason. Some were warned, watch how you treat this one. Others were invited, follow the light they carry. A few were shown their own heart's condition, jealousy, fear, deception reflected back to them through your presence. And now, whether they know it or not, a choice has been placed before them. Because once you've seen divine light, you can't unsee it. That's why the dream keeps coming back. It's a cycle, a test, a confrontation that reappears until it's acknowledged. And your presence in their life is a continual echo of that dream. Every time they hear your name, every time they scroll past your post, every time someone brings you up, it's like spirit is nudging them again. Remember what you saw. And if they try to mistreat you after that, if they attempt to discredit or manipulate you, there will be consequences, not because you'll retaliate, but because heaven will respond. Divine protection surrounds the anointed. And when someone dreams of you shining, it's not just a compliment, it's an announcement. This one is marked. Think about the story of Pilate's wife. Before Jesus was handed over to be crucified, She had a dream about him, a disturbing, vivid dream. And she sent word to Pilate. Have nothing to do with that righteous man. She knew, even in sleep, that something sacred was unfolding. That's what's happening when people dream of you, chosen one. Even those who don't understand spiritual things get stirred. Even the spiritually asleep feel a tremor. Because your light is not just symbolic. It's strategic. It's active. It's a part of a divine storyline that's unfolding across dimensions. And your role is to keep shining. Let the dream do what it's supposed to do. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to defend your name. You don't need to break yourself into smaller pieces so they feel less uncomfortable. Let your light speak. Let your presence convict. Let your anointing confirm. Because what they saw was real, and now they must choose how to respond. Whether they run from it or walk toward it is not your responsibility. Your only job is to continue shining. And believe me, they'll never forget the dream. There's something you've always felt, even if you couldn't put it into words. Chosen one. That sense that your life never quite fit the mold, that your timing always felt off, like you were born into the wrong family, the wrong generation, the wrong crowd. But what if I told you that what you've mistaken for misplacement was really divine positioning? You weren't dropped here randomly. You were planted strategically, surgically, supernaturally into this life, this lineage, this moment in time. And long before anyone knew your name, long before you could even speak, the spirit realm recognized you. You were set apart. And that set apartness has marked everything you've ever touched. It's why you've always felt different. It's why, from a young age, people reacted to you with extremes, either drawn to your presence or disturbed by it. Why teachers, family members, even strangers seemed to expect more from you, or judged you more harshly. Why some were kind without reason, and others unkind without cause. Because they saw something even if they couldn't explain it. They sensed the weight on your life, the assignment, the sacredness, and for some, that triggered admiration. For others, it triggered jealousy. But you were still discovering who you were, still trying to survive, still trying to blend in, even though your spirit refused to shrink. And in that sacred tension between being seen and not understanding why you were being forged, set apart doesn't just mean special. It means called out. It means divinely removed from the patterns of the masses. It means walking a lonelier path, one that doesn't make sense to others, and often doesn't make sense even to you. But that path, that fire, that isolation, that was your classroom. That was your preparation, because greatness doesn't grow in the spotlight. It's cultivated in shadows. And you, chosen one, were hidden for a reason. You weren't rejected, you were reserved. You weren't forgotten, you were protected. You weren't overlooked, you were being overshadowed by divine purpose. So when people saw you shining in their dreams, they weren't seeing something new. They were seeing what had always been true, but had been hidden from them until now. Your emergence, your rise, your glow. It's not an evolution. It's a revelation. A divine unveiling of something ancient, something holy, something forged in fires they'll never understand. And it terrifies them, because while you've been walking through trials, they've been watching from the outside, unaware of the wars you've survived. And now that the oil of those battles is starting to glow, now that your voice is carrying weight, now that your presence is shifting atmospheres, they're confused, stunned, maybe even frightened. But make no mistake, they've seen the signs. They had dreams. They had impressions. They had spiritual warnings. And whether they admitted it or not, they knew. Some of them even tried to stop it, tried to speak against you, tried to sow seeds of doubt around your name, because they sensed your rise before you did. And they feared what your presence would disrupt, because you aren't just walking in personal power. You're walking in generational authority. Your calling doesn't just elevate you, it confronts everything connected to you. It breaks generational patterns. It severs demonic contracts. It destroys agreements with mediocrity. And that kind of movement, that kind of spiritual eruption, it scares those who are comfortable in dysfunction. That's why the warfare has been so heavy. That's why the opposition has been so strange. That's why the dreams have been so intense. Because you're not just another gifted person. You're a bloodline breaker, a stronghold smasher, a divine disruptor, and they saw it coming. They may have laughed at you, underestimated you, mocked your process. But deep in their spirit, they knew. They may not have said it aloud, but they saw it in the dream, felt it in your presence, heard it in the spirit, that the one they dismissed would be the one heaven crowned. And now it's happening, not with fanfare, not with flashing lights, but with a quiet thunder, a rising frequency, a vibration so true, it's shaking the realm of illusion. And that's why they're nervous, because your set-apartness is undeniable now. You're walking in rooms you were once locked out of, speaking truth you were once mocked for, radiating light that once felt too costly to carry. But here you are, still standing, still shining, still chosen, and the dreams they had of you. They were previews, trailers to the full story now unfolding. Some were warnings, some were confirmations. All were orchestrated by the divine, because your emergence was never meant to be a surprise. It was prophesied. You didn't come out of nowhere. You came from everywhere your ancestors cried out. You rose from every silent night of prayer, every moment of suffering, every lesson in the dark. You are the living manifestation of every unseen victory, every no you survived, every rejection that protected you, every season that broke you but didn't bury you. And now the light you carry, it's not for show, it's for shaking, to shake systems, shake bloodlines, shake atmospheres. So don't apologize when people wake up disturbed by the dream of you. Don't shrink when they act weird around you. Don't internalize their discomfort. You were always meant to be set apart. You were never meant to fit in. You are the sign. You are the shift. You are the dream come to life. By now, chosen one, you understand the truth. Your light isn't accidental. Your presence isn't subtle. And your calling, it's nothing less than a divine alarm clock, sounding in the spirit long before you utter a single word. That's why they saw you. That's why they dreamed of you. That's why they woke up terrified, not because you were the threat, but because you were the truth. You see, you've always been a signpost, a walking confirmation, a living frequency calling souls out of their slumber. And those dreams, those strange, vivid, unmistakable visions of you glowing, rising, even flying, they weren't exaggerations. They were prophetic revelations of your essence. You are the evidence that a shift is happening, that the divine timeline is accelerating, that the veil between heaven and earth is thinning. Your emergence wasn't designed for comfort. It was designed to confront, and that's exactly what your light does. It disrupts apathy. It disturbs the spirit of control. It reveals false alignments. It shines on dysfunction that's been camouflaged as culture. And when people wake up from dreams of you, shaken and unsure. They aren't afraid of you. They're afraid of what your presence means. Because your light is the end of their excuse. You're the interruption they've been praying to avoid, and the invitation they never thought would arrive. And now that you've shown up radiant, activated, walking in truth, though they are faced with a choice, awaken or run. That's why your life has been so lonely at times. Why you felt invisible even in crowds. Why rejection has followed you like a shadow. Because when heaven marks you to be a light, you're never allowed to settle into darkness. Even if the world tries to cover you up, God's glow will still break through. You are divine disruption. Think of how the prophets moved, hidden for years, misunderstood by the masses, rejected by the very people they were called to serve. And yet, when the appointed time came, nothing could stop their voice. Nothing could silence their message. They had been prepared in secret for a very public revelation. You, too, have been prepared. And those dreams, that was heaven announcing the time is now, to those aligned with truth, you are a confirmation. But to those clinging to control, your emergence is a warning. Your presence demands clarity, and that's why even your silence speaks louder than most people's noise. Remember, chosen one, there is nothing casual about your existence. You didn't just arrive here. You were sent. And those dreams others had of you, that was the spirit realm testifying on your behalf. Some will ignore it. Some will mock it. Some will misinterpret it. But the ones with ears to hear will awaken. They'll remember what they saw. The way you glowed. The way you moved. The authority you carried in the realm of dreams. And when they see you now, in the flesh, walking in quiet confidence, with that unmistakable aura, they'll know. The dream was real. The assignment is active. The prophecy is unfolding. And you, dear chosen one, are not just a messenger. You are the message. Your walk, your resilience, your fire, your stillness, it all speaks, even when you think no one is listening. So keep going. Keep glowing. Keep carrying the frequency of truth, because some will awaken through your words. Others will awaken through your silence. But many will awaken because of the dream, because of that one night they saw you, because of the way your light haunted their darkness, because of the way your calling announced itself before you ever said a word. You are a living prophecy, rising in real time, and no one, not doubt, not delay, not disbelief, can stop what has already been sealed by the hand of God. Your light is the alarm clock for this generation. Let it ring. Now, let your spirit settle into this. Chosen one. Because what I'm about to say isn't just truth, it's confirmation. Breathe deeply. Slow everything down. Let each word wrap around your soul like a warm blanket on a cold night. You are not crazy. You are not imagining this. You are not too much. You are awakened in a world that's still asleep. And yes, it's disorienting. But you are not alone. Heaven is with you. Angels walk beside you. The dreams others have had of you were not random. They were warnings to darkness and winks from God. They were previews of the breakthrough you carry. Your calling has been ringing in the spirit. And now, the world is beginning to hear it too. No weapon formed against you will prosper. No lie whispered about you will stick. No delay will deny what's already been marked with your name. You are covered. You are protected. You are chosen. Let them talk. Let them wonder. Let them dream. Because their spirit has already seen the truth. And now, so have you. Keep walking in your light. Keep standing in your truth. Keep honoring the voice of God within you. You don't need permission to shine. You don't need validation to rise. You already carry heaven's yes. So rise boldly. Walk calmly. Love deeply. Discern wisely. And if this message spoke to your spirit, if it stirred something sacred inside, you make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to SoulScripture. Because this light, this frequency, this message, it's not just for you, it's for the remnant, and we're just getting started. God bless you.